But you know what? You can take it off and say, you know what? I'm not doing it this week. As long as you're willing to pay the price, that's the important thing.
Welcome to Cards and Constellations with Bonnie Morris and Don Rumor Rivera from Sonoran Mystic Tarot. Here, we blend astrology and tarot to guide you through the twists and turns for the week ahead. Don't forget to hit subscribe and share. Let's dive into your cosmic journey together.
Hello. The moon this week on Friday, the 1st, August 1st, we have the first quarter in Scorpio at 27 degrees 33 minutes. Now remember, during the first quarter, we do all the work on whatever project you've chosen. And to find that out, we step back and find the new moon in Scorpio. That occurred on November 1st, 2024 at 9 degrees 34 minutes of Scorpio. So check, where do you write your intentions down? I hope you did. That will tell you what you're working on right now. Then we have to move forward and find the full moon in Scorpio. That occurs on May 1st of 2026 at 11 degrees 20 minutes of Scorpio. That's when everything becomes lit up. You can see the whole project, and if it's not exactly what you want, you tweak it. And then we pivot and start to turn away. We have to look for the last quarter moon now in Scorpio. It happens on January 29th, 2027 at 9 degrees 7 minutes of Scorpio. And that's where we celebrate our success and turn away, allow the project to move on by itself, and we wait for another new moon. Now, in the void, of course, we're going to take a look on July 28th. The void, of course, begins at 5:56 p.m., and that is Mountain Standard Time, Phoenix time, at 27 degrees 32 minutes of Virgo. It ends that day at 10:43 p.m., and that's when it enters into the sign of Libra. Then again on the 29th at 8:58 p.m., the void begins at 11 degrees of Libra. It ends on the 31st. Now, remember that. That's a long void, okay? It ends on the 31st at 10:25 a.m., and that's when it enters into Scorpio. I'll pause here and remind you, during a void, you never start a project because it likely will have to be redone. So unless you like practice, be careful. Finish up projects. Fold the laundry, do the dishes, whatever it is that you can do, but don't start anything new. Okay, so we still have 5 planets in retrograde. But first, let's go to August 2nd. We have the last void at 6:06 p.m., 27 degrees 33 minutes of Scorpio. It ends that night at 11 p.m. when it enters into Sagittarius. Again, we still have 5 planets in retrograde. Pluto's in Aquarius. Both Saturn and Neptune are still dancing in Aries and Pisces. And Mercury in Leo. Now, we also just started with Chiron in retrograde in the sign of Aries.
So, Miss Bonnie, if I hear right, it sounds like this week, no matter what sign you have, it's going to be a complicated week. Something's happening. Can you help me understand that?
Sure. This week, we start out the week, I think it starts on Tuesday. We see a kite formation. Now, a kite formation is a specific pattern formed by a grand trine, a big triangle, 3 planets. It's harmonious. It's good energy. But there's also an opposition, the point of the head of the kite to the tail. That's a tug of war. That's where things get sticky. The opposition is also linked to the other 2 planets in the grand trine. So it creates this kite shape when you look at the chart. At the end of the week, it gets even more complicated. We have 2 kites. And they're pulling us in 2 different directions.
I don't want it. I don't want it.
There's
and
also
then you have these long voids. These long voids that
yeah.
growing longer and longer. And you, like you said before, about 2 weeks ago, we had one of the longest voids you'd seen. And this week, once
It's
again,
even
we have an exceptionally long void.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, there are also a lot of squares. Now, squares in a chart means that you have to act on something. If you don't, things are going to get real sticky. So, yeah, it is a real complicated week for everyone.
Oh my gosh. Then I guess we better get into the individual reading and see how this coordinates with the next sign up.
Okay, Libra, start out this week with your planet Venus in the sign of Gemini, but it's in a square to Mars located in Virgo. Squares demand action. They're a challenging aspect between two planets that are 90 degrees apart, and they create a tension as each planet wants to be out there. This demands that you make a choice, work it out. It is considered a hard aspect, but it also represents an opportunity for growth. And what's better than that? That's what we're here for, right? Okay. The goddess of love, Venus, and romance, demanding action from Mars, the planet of action. This aspect can bring passion and a vibrant emotional nature. It can lead very high emotions and also some very low ones. So be cautious that your triggers don't get pushed. Okay, they can easily be stirred up. Identify your triggers before going in. This is both positive and negative. Sometimes there can be a strong desire to clash. Learning to balance spontaneity with emotional steadiness can support deeper, more fulfilling relationships. We also notice that Venus is in a square with Saturn in the sign of Aries. Saturn being the planet of responsibility and Venus the goddess of love and romance. This aspect may bring early lessons around emotional boundaries, and trust may often be involved. You approach love with caution as a result of this, sometimes influenced by past disappointments or a fear of rejection. You may prioritize security or duty over emotional expression. However, with time and healing, you can learn to soften your defenses and open up to a more joyful and reciprocal connection. If you notice on the 29th, there is a highlighted triangle. That's what we call a grand trine. That's the core of a kite, indicating harmonious flows of energy, supportive energy. Okay. And it directs us towards the sign of Saturn in Aries. Now, the tail of the kite is the moon. That's all your feelings in Libra. So you may feel like you want to go outside or you want to go out with your friends, but Saturn's saying, hey, you got to do your homework first. Okay? Go do the dishes, fold the laundry, help out. On the 31st, I highlighted a T square or a T cross. Just make a mental note, and we'll go into that at a later date. At the end of the week, on August 3rd, you'll see the kite we just looked at, but you'll also notice there's another kite almost perpendicular to that, and it's leading us towards Pluto in Aquarius, with the tail being Mercury down there in Leo. This creates another opposition between Pluto and Mercury. So your thoughts and communication are being asked to change. What compromise will you work out? Dawn, what does tarot say?
Well, Libra, let's take a look at tarot and see if it has some of the contradictions that Bonnie's talking about in reference to the astrology. Here we go. What the spirit and the universe want for Libra to know this week. And there's no jumpers, so let's take the top card off. The top card off is a Hierophant card. You know, that's of all the cards in the tarot deck, it's probably one of my least favorite cards. And I don't know why. There's just an energy about it that every time I feel it, it seems to be like a structure, a hemmed in. It's like you got to follow the rules, you got to behave. It reminds me of a school teacher. Sit down, don't talk so much, and I'm going to smack your fingers or whatever because you do this or that. And there's just an energy about it. And it's not really a bad card in that way, but to me, it's confining. So this week, the energy could be a bit confining, and that's why it's conveying it from that card to you, is that it could be a confining energy. It could be an energy where it's saying, you know what, you may want to do this, but you may want to think about how that's going to impact you in a different way. It could say, you this might have worked for you in the past, but for this week, maybe you want to try this. And so this can be that contradictory feeling going on, whether you're dealing with your emotions or whether you're dealing with your reason and your logic. That's the kind of energy that I'm giving here. And this structure is saying, do what is right. And it's like, okay, who's right? This is the devil card. And so when the devil card comes out, that's like a negative energy kind of card. So be careful not to be swept up into the negative energy. Again, when you start feeling confined, if you're like me, when you're feeling confined and you feel like there's structure put on top of you, you start feeling a little bit pushy and you're like, you know what? I don't want this. Don't tell me what to do. I don't need another mother, that kind of stuff. And so I can feel how it can get heavy, but don't allow yourself to do that, because in the regular tarot, in traditional tarot, that devil card has a male and a female sitting to the left and the right lower side of the devil. And around it is a chain, and that chain is very loose. And the chain around your neck is very loose for specific reasons. And one of them being that you can take the chain off. You're not bound to it. It's what you want to do. And again, you may feel chained to that structure. You may feel compelled to follow the structure, but you know what? You can take it off and say, you know what? I'm not doing it this week. As long as you're willing to pay the price, that's the important thing. I love this too, because there's a Two of Cups here, and the Two of Cups is saying, do what aligns with you. In this case, it's an alignment card. And so it's like, do what aligns with you. If it is reasonable for you to say, I don't really care about how this is going to look for other people, I want to do this, then just do it. And I don't care if it's not what is right or wrong, because I don't need to have somebody looking over me and determining how it looks to everybody else. Again, do what aligns with you this week, because that's how you're going to navigate the week, and that's how you're going to get through it. It's going to be a long week. Again, it's 8 of Cups. So the 8 of Cups is saying it's going to be 8 days in a 7-day week, if you know what I'm saying. So be prepared for a little struggle, be prepared for a little testing, be prepared for a little bit of pushback, but more importantly, just work through it. You're going to get through this just fine. Don't get into the negative. Don't get in your head too much. And again, just press forward. And there is that Knight of Cups. So Knight of Cups, it says, once you push through, once you keep moving through, you're going to find that brighter energy. You're going to be happy. You're going to be relieved. And when you do, you'll be fine. And then at the bottom of the deck, the overall energy is the Justice card. When you put it out there, whatever you're putting out, you're going to get back. You put out bad stuff, you're going to get bad stuff back. And this is kind of the Judgment card in that sense when I said that. But in this case, the Justice card is like, hey, we're going to take care of you in the way in which you take care of everybody else. And that's what I'm picking up. This is an interesting week, but most importantly, you have to live your life, and so don't worry about what everybody else thinks so much. Worry about what aligns with you. If it doesn't align with you, if you're not comfortable, then you're not living. So you got to do it. In the end, ultimately, as long as you're willing to face the consequences of what you do, that's the key. As long as you're willing to face the consequences, do what you feel that you have to do. And then when the consequences come, you say, you know what? I brought them on. I'm okay with that. That's what I got, Ms. Bonnie. How does that align with your astrological reading?
Well, I think it correlates, because I talked about how there are triggers here. So you can go high or low. So it's up to having control over that, not allowing yourself to get pushed.
Talk about pushing, Ms. Bonnie. What can people do to push our buttons? Literally.
Oh, love our buttons pushed here. Down in the lower right-hand corner is that subscribe button. Please, please, please push our button, and then set that little bell to all. And you'll get a notice every time we post a video or if we go live. Now, if you're on my channel, which is Your Love Goddess, thank you for pushing subscribe. Go over to Sonoran Mystic Tarot. Do the same thing. Hit subscribe, and then hit that notification bell. When you're done with that, please go to our new channel, Cards and Constellations, and hit subscribe and set that bell again. Now you've done it all 3 times. We really appreciate that. But you know what we love more? The thumbs up and share this video, please. There are so many people out there that don't know we're here yet. And so if you share it out, they might get some advice that they need and you could help somebody. You can resonate with other signs, not just your own.
And more importantly, as you learn and understand how astrology can be used with tarot, they're not enemies, they're friends. And you can see how they do correlate because the universe is sending all the information to us. Then you can have a better understanding of how to navigate your week ahead because you're getting it through 2 ways and not just one. And again, we're not giving you anything you won't hear from somebody else. It's just that we're giving you both in one instead of having to go to 2 different places. We're saving you a trip. And that's why you hit that button, that subscribe button. Super important. With that said, we're going to let you go. Have an amazing week. Love, light, and blessings from Miss Bonnie and her family, me and my family, to you and to yours. Until next week, bye-bye.